Hello, everyone. I'm Teacher Go. Today, we'll continue with marketing. Today, I'll talk to you about market demand forecasting in marketing. In this section, we'll cover these key topics. Among all forecasts, we'll discuss methods of surveying buyers' intentions, the composite approach of sales force opinions, expert opinion method, and market test method, as well as time series analysis method and linear trend method. Also statistical demand analysis, and multi-attribute attitude models. We'll mainly talk about focusing on the first few. For the latter ones, we'll just briefly touch upon them. Alright, let's first discuss market demand forecasting. In this, we need to forecast several aspects. Generally, we should forecast the environment, meaning the environment in which the business operates, including aspects like the economic environment, political environment, legal environment, all of which we need to predict. We can try to determine the direction of our policies, potential changes in our legal system, and at an institutional level. What new policies the country might introduce, what kind of new policies might emerge. All these things, including future legal aspects, what kind of laws the country will introduce. For example, the education market now, after the implementation of the double reduction policy, has been significantly impacted. You could say it's a drastic change. This is about forecasting the environment. From what we see now, for instance, the education market, actually, since 2018, some analysts say, since 2018, the market has already undergone certain changes, but it's just that, in some industries, some companies, when doing environmental forecasting, were not sensitive enough, leading to the current, somewhat panicked situation. Another aspect is industry forecasting. For example, if I work in the appliance sector, as an appliance company, I need to forecast the entire scenario for the domestic and international appliance industry. For instance, the white goods industry is now in a highly competitive and saturated state. Or take the color TV market, which faces the appliance market. What is the development direction for color TVs? At this point, we need to make a precise forecast for the whole industry. At this time, we need to accurately forecast the entire industry. Another key aspect is the company's sales forecast. If I invest in sales efforts this year, what are my expectations for next year, especially now with the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic becoming a new normal? In this market environment, companies should make more cautious sales forecasts. They should exercise greater caution in their predictions. Alright, let's discuss some methods here. These methods, firstly, is the consumer intention survey method. We need to conduct some intentionality surveys. We can carry out some small-scale and some abstract types of surveys. We can select a portion of potential customers. For instance, if I'm targeting the silver hair market, focusing on the elderly, we can target these potential individuals, generally those above 65, considered elderly. We can conduct some street interviews with these potential customers. Survey them. Directly ask for their opinions. Directly inquire. Next, the composite approach of sales force opinions. Students, pay attention. It's not about involving all sales personnel, as some salespeople have poor sales performance. Such personnel, in general, when employing this method, should be excluded. We should identify those with rich sales experience, gather them, and discuss the sales targets and expectations with them. Organize them to introduce the sales goals and content, as well as the expectations. Especially in this aspect, everyone must pay attention to one thing. You must involve those salespeople who have a positive and proactive attitude. The opinions they provide, even the opinions they offer, are constructive. Don't gather those with a negative attitude, because then, essentially, your entire sales strategy could be negated. That is to say, when doing this, everyone must be mindful of one thing. Here, the sales personnel actually represent a specific and targeted group. It's not about gathering everyone together. That wouldn't work. When using this method, students should take note. Alright, the next method is the expert opinion method, sometimes referred to as brainstorming. It involves gathering opinions from experts in the relevant field. This field. When using this method, students should also note, at the time of gathering expert opinions, you shouldn't only select experts from outside the company. Internal experts of the company must also be included. Only then will the expert opinion method have significant reference value. Don't overly trust external experts, because they might not fully understand your company's specific environment or the company's operational conditions if they don't understand it well, even though they have certain industry knowledge. Because they don't understand the company, they might make recommendations with significant biases or marketing advice. This is something to be mindful of. Next, let's talk about the advantages and disadvantages of the expert opinion method. First, its advantage is a fast process with low cost. A few experts sit together, back to back, using brainstorming to quickly gather these opinions. Secondly, strong expressions can be made in different relations because it's back to back, without any restrictions. No one restricts anyone. If there's a lack of basic data, experts can use their experience to compensate. These are the advantages. The disadvantages, as mentioned before, are that expert opinions may not reflect objective reality. This is especially important if you hire many external experts. Particularly pay attention to this aspect. Secondly, responsibility is dispersed. I want to emphasize again, especially if there are too many external experts, because they are not internal members of the company. Their accountability for their opinions may end once their consultation is over. It might just end there. Thirdly, it's generally suitable for total forecasts. Fourthly, it has poor reliability. To compensate for this, in terms of the ratio of internal to external experts, it's preferable to have more internal than external experts. Next, the market test method. The fourth one we'll talk about is the market test method, which involves on a small scale, producing a small portion of the product as a trial to conduct sales, then testing the market's reaction, and then collecting data based on this to make inferences on this basis. The fifth method we discuss is the time series analysis method. This method is somewhat akin to speculation based on historical data. It involves speculation based on historical data. What is it? It refers to the statistical analysis of economic development trends, cycles, and temporal changes in business sales volumes, and observed values of uncertain events, arranged in chronological order. These are statistically arranged in sequence of time, and then analyzed using mathematical methods to conduct a practical transition study. This involves arranging data in chronological order, laying it out, to observe patterns and characteristics over time, especially focusing on cyclical patterns. This method is often used for instance, flower sales. Flower sales typically peak in spring and autumn. During these times, we can apply the time series analysis method to predict these cyclical changes. This method helps us understand public preferences for certain flowers, identifying which flowers will be especially popular in spring, allowing us to conduct a more accurate study. With this time series analysis method, we can achieve a precise understanding and forecast of market trends and preferences. Next, we'll discuss the straight line trend method. The straight line trend method is something students learn in middle school, which is the linear function. Generally, we use the method of least squares to find the values of A and B. Then, we assume that the changes in market demand are linear. This comes with a precondition that assumes changes in market demand are linear. We can use this method to simulate and predict to a certain extent. Lastly, we'll talk about statistical demand analysis method. What is the statistical demand analysis method? It primarily uses statistical methods to identify the most significant factors affecting business sales. Then, these factors are treated as a functional relationship, formulating them into a functional equation. This includes multi-factor analysis and bivariate analysis, and even as mentioned in microeconomics before, we can perform a univariate analysis to identify the main factors. I won't elaborate further on this. Students interested can analyze this further and look into this method. Students, let's summarize today's lesson. Today, we mainly discussed some methods of market demand forecasting. One is the survey method of buyers' intentions. Another is the composite approach of sales force opinions. We also talked about the expert opinion method, the market test method, the time series method, the straight line trend method, and the multi-factor analysis under statistical demand. Lastly, we briefly touched upon the multi-attribute attitude modeling. That concludes our content for today. Thank you, everyone. Goodbye, students.